Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters here for Season 10, where we are going beyond the game as we continue forward with Group A here in the main part of the tournament. Live from Cologne, Germany. Joining me on the desk this time, we have Pig and Todd. Welcome to the desk. Let's take a quick look to the bracket to see exactly where we are currently, because we've had a couple of results coming in if you're just now tuning in for the first time today. Sue has gone through in first place, is the first player to go to the quarterfinals, which will be played out on Saturday. Right now, we're in the lower bracket game where Heromarine and Happy go head-to-head in the all-European battle to find out which player will go up against MMA. Not the best of starts here for the European players. Pig, low spot, both of their opening matches.
Yeah, a bit of a tough start, some tough opponents, but now it's the battle of TvT. That's what we're going to be seeing now. So really, it's something you don't get to see too much of in the European scene because there's just not that many top-level Terran players. You know, there's been periods where we've had floods of new Zerg players coming up, floods of new Protosses. There's usually only a trickle of these new Terran players. And Heromarine and Happy, they've been both kind of stalwart guys that have been in the scene a while.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very interesting match, but I actually have a big problem kind of predicting exactly what sort of styles they're going to play.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about Heromarine first. He's come through the open bracket, played yesterday. A bit of a struggle to get out the open bracket, but he did eventually get out of it. And he played pretty well, to be honest. But one thing that was noted, that he wasn't satisfied with how he played yesterday. He said that, yeah, I did get out the open bracket. Yeah, that is kind of cool, but I didn't play as good as I want to. And tomorrow, or the day after when I come back, I'm going to show everybody what I'm really capable of.
Yeah, that didn't turn out so well against Sue in this first match, but now he gets another chance against, I guess, somebody that he must play pretty often on the ladder. But Happy did win a map against MMA. So now the question is, was MMA not playing his best, or is Happy actually really legit in TvT?
Yeah, well, let's switch our focus to Happy for a little bit here, Pig, because Happy has had a bit of a downswing in his career over the last 6 months or so. After being one of only a few people to qualify for every single Premier League within the World Championship Series, all of a sudden started losing in Challenger and is now struggling to get into the Premier League whatsoever. So he comes into this as a complete underdog. What's been going wrong with his play, we don't really know, but he did come through the qualifier to play in the Intel Extreme Masters, and as Todd said, took a map away from MMA. So where is Happy right now?
No, it's got to be a hard spot for him. Of course, he's been around for such a long time. Happy has dealt with ups and downs before, but for him, WCS has usually been his one main outlet, and he kind of doesn't travel to many tournaments. So this is one of these rare chances where he's saying, you know what, I feel good right now. I want to come here. I feel I can play well, but I think one of the big things which has let him down historically, and we always talk about this, it's been talked about to death, is that he can be quite predictable. He's this player who loves to play the same styles. Yeah. He's kind of like a boulder. He just tries to get his force moving, rolling down that hill. But sometimes a player who maybe you'd think Happy's favored against him, if they can find a way to abuse his style, to kind of divert the force of his play, I think they can take advantage of him. And Heromarine's got to know exactly what his play is about.
Todd, you've played Happy in Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2, and you've known his weaknesses, you've won against him, you've lost against him, but why does he refuse to change the way that he looks at StarCraft and thinks it should be played? Everyone says he plays it in a way that isn't the correct way to play, that he is predictable and he does get exploited. Why does he refuse to change that?
I don't know if I know about his weaknesses too much because I lost to him about every single time I played him in tournaments in both games, but I think it's just the way he sees that, or he thinks he needs to practice, and maybe he reviews it sometimes, but he just thinks it's maybe fits him best to just, keep on laddering only, not play custom games, and not change his hardware apparently, because he's using a relic of a keyboard for the same 10 years. So I guess that shows who he is. Some people are very stubborn, like we know how Roddy, he can be stubborn and have his own builds as well. Yeah. I guess Happy is kind of the same in a similar way.
But it does work for him sometimes though. I mean, that's probably why he continues to stick to it, because sometimes he is able to get a top 8 in WCS, but then other times he can't even qualify for it. So he seems a bit hit or miss right now, but hopefully he is going to be playing well today. As we've already said, taking a map away from MMA is pretty good, but Heromarine is the favorite between the two, right? Heromarine's been the more successful as of recently. He's in Premier League. He's starting to rise to the top ranks of the European scene, and Happy feels like a forgotten player.
Heromarine does look really strong lately. He looks very, very solid in his play. I think it will be very stylistic though, because Happy does have that strange, unique way of playing. It comes down to how well can Heromarine adapt to that style, because no matter what, you're looking at a guy who's just taken a map off MMA, you're now facing off against him. You're looking at almost definitely a Mech TvT, and that's what Happy loves to play. It's going to be a very specific style of gameplay, and it's something I haven't seen too much from Heromarine recently.
All right, so let's final thoughts then. Mech versus Mech, Mech versus Bio, and predictions, Todd. What do you expect, or perhaps we could see?
I think there's a chance that Heromarine mixes it up a little bit more, but even like looking into the builds, we must first think that the opening builds are going to be very important, you know, even before Mech and Bio comes into play. Somebody might die before, so I feel like Happy being, you know, that guy who loves to do like safe builds and stuff, there is a chance that Heromarine knows him really well and does a good build against the way Happy likes to open. So that's going to make it interesting, and on paper I still think that Happy is pretty damn good still, even with his old keyboard, so I'm going to go for him here as a favorite.
Okay, what about you, Pig?
Just looking at recent games, I think Heromarine does have a bit of an edge. I'd say he's going to take it 2-1, and I do think a lot of it's going to come down to, as Todd was saying, those early opening build orders. I feel like we're almost always going to see, even though Happy commits to early aggression, I think he's going to always follow it up with a fast third command center, really going for that expanding defensive follow-up. I think Heromarine is going to be prepared for it, and I think he's going to be able to take some freedoms and get ahead.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Do make sure to join us on Twitter before we go into this game. You can hashtag IEM. I know you've got a Twitter account. You might as well use it. You can even write to these guys if you wanted to tell them how good they've been doing so far in the Intellect Stream Masters. But it's time to go for the commentary team for the lower bracket game. One of these players must be eliminated. One of them survives. Which one will it be?
It's time for the usual Intellect Stream Masters non-Korean squabble down in the lower bracket to commence here. Heromarine and Happy.
It's going to be interesting. You know, we get to see a TvT, a foreign TvT at that, and as I've talking about in the panel, could even be Mech versus Mech. So we could be in for a long one, but a pretty fun one.
Yes, yes. After seeing, a lot of Heromarine's games in not only the German scene, but the international scene kind of unfold over recent times, he's gotten pretty damn good at the matchup, not going to lie. But Happy as Happy, he will, if he gets to those later stages in TvT, be an absolute beast to try and kill off.
Yeah, certainly, sir. And he, as Todd was saying, he is a very stubborn player as well. He loves his Mech play. He'll try and take it there every chance he can. I'm sure we're going to see it a lot in this game.
All right, getting into Coda for game number 1 here, as we have spawning up to the top left-hand corner, we have our blue Terran representing Team Mouse Sports. It is Heromarine.
Finally get to see him in a TvT. I'm excited for this one. I've seen him in a lot of Terran versus Zerg the last couple days.
And down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Terran all the way from Russia. It is Happy.
Taking a game off of MMA and TvT. It's a pretty good start for this matchup today, but we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, really good start, really good start. But one thing for me that is interesting about Happy is that he hasn't yet found a team still after leaving Empire quite a while back.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think in the end, something that, just to kind of bring light and shed light on why that could be, is that I think Happy has probably had quite a few team offers, but it's well documented and well stated in the past that Happy doesn't sell himself short. He believes in himself as a player, he believes in himself in his worth, and in the past has been in situations where, he understands that he's a strong player and will, look for the right price for himself.
Yeah, that's very fair. He's also the kind of player that doesn't want to venture out too often to international tournaments. We do see him decide to skip them now and then just because he doesn't want to do it. So maybe that's something to play with it as well. He's like, you know what, I like to be comfortable, I like to stay at home. I don't want to travel too much, but this time I will.
One thing's for sure, though. After the past 2 seasons of WCS for Happy, they haven't hit the nail on the head for him. He hasn't been able to advance forwards to Premier. From a guy who used to be a Premier mainstay. He was in every single Premier, time after time again. But now, recently, not so much. So this is really a proving ground here for him to... maybe he can get through Heromarine here and then try and get some revenge on MMA. There's the potential that he could get through to a top 8 and really have a great showing if he keeps his TvT in check.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, as we said earlier, he already took 1 game off MMA. It's just 1 more.
Yeah.
He could, solidify himself, get through. He's got to get through Heromarine first, and Heromarine is a pretty big obstacle. He's a fantastic TvT player, and he's just been rising up, getting better and better. Kind of got demolished by Sue, but I think that's to be expected of everyone nearly, just about in this tournament. Such an outstanding player right now. And identical builds, at least for the Reaper opening, kind of changing things up now with an earlier CC.
You've got to be careful about that in TvT. Do have to be careful. Of course, if you're opening up against some kind of Reaper play here, this little FCV fella might be kind of vulnerable. So Reaper's going to head on in, maybe try and slow this down a little bit, but already firing off on a supply depot, not exactly what he wants. And he will go straight for this SCV to start things off. There will be another Reaper following this up. At least he had that SCV-2 buffer to start things. And once it comes to the 2 Reapers, you just need those extra few Marines out here to solidify himself for Heromarine.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That second Reaper's coming up now for Happy, which could cause some problems. He's also, going to start to delay the command center. He has to keep this Reaper alive, though, and he put himself in a bad place.
Heal up, combat drugs, no!
Combat drugs, not enough.
And that's also not going to go well for him. He jumps up, oh no! A micro mistake against those 2 Marines.
Big blunder for Happy. Losing those 2 Reapers like that. A big investment really delayed his command center as well.
If he'd have just been able to get that SCV slowing down the command center, that would have been good enough for the most part until delaying until the second Reaper was over there. But slight slip up there by Happy to start this game off.
Yeah, well, he's not too far behind. Not yet. It's going to take a little bit of damage from this Reaper here. Nothing out just yet to kind of deal with it. 2 Hellions on the way now.
Losing another SCV. Already had that one at the front 2 buffer for the original Reaper himself, so losing that does hurt. Another one is probably going to end up falling unless you could repair it at the speed of light, but that's not going to be the case. So just needs to get away now from these Hellions. He might. Oh, it looks like he's on a suicide mission at the moment.
Yeah, I guess he can buy time in this naturally. He wants to get that last SCV. Not going to find it.
He tried. He tried.
He tried so hard.
Yeah. Got so far, man. Well,
in the end, doesn't even matter.
Apparently. This Widowmine is going to cause these Hellions a few problems. I mean, he should be able to read into that, the fact that there would be a Widowmine at the front. You know, he saw the setup, he saw the base, etc. He has to be careful, and that's why he's keeping the Hellions around the front and the middle. But if he goes in all clumped up, that could be a bit of a disaster, so he does have to be mindful of it.
Yeah, it can take a big hit. He can't really go past it either, because there's a lot of Marines waiting right now.
They're
gonna try. Oh, somehow does not trigger the mine.
Yeah, sends one to the front here and is going to be able to run that in.
Wow.
Actually, if he'd have got there quickly enough and the Marines had been in a bad spot, that could have done AoE splash damage onto Heromarine. So maybe Happy was looking for that.
He was looking for that, it seemed like, but I'm just not even sure it would have changed much. There was a medivac there.
There was a lot.
It wouldn't have one-shot a lot of those Marines. It would have weakened them up.
Yeah.
Still ambitious move, exciting move, which is this is what I want to see, Kalaris.
I like exciting moves.
I love it.
Love them.
Especially from Happy. I'm like, this is unusual.
Well, a joyous occasion indeed, as Happy now is going to have to bear the brunt of a drop down towards the bottom. Both of them supply blocked at 54 here at the moment, so slight mishap there in the game, but how well is he going to be able to deal with this? The Raven's just about to pop here, Moonglade.
He is indeed, and those Hellions are, just sitting on the ramp waiting for this some sort of aggression to happen. It's going to make its way down, planting the mine. Could get a decent shot off. He replants it.
I love that he unburrowed it there for a moment to make sure it wasn't going to do a weird shot. And, that didn't really do a huge amount.
Yeah, the Marines are actually in a really bad place. They all got lined up perfectly for these Hellions, and yeah, just completely deflected there.
So at the moment, Happy with this kind of composition, adding on more factories, so he looks to be going into some kind of mech style here, will be in quite a strong spot. I mean, having this many Hellions early on in TvT can be very, very scary, but as long as you've got a siege tank or 2, which currently we see Heromarine having at the front, he should be fine in the defense, unless an auto turret is able to disrupt things at the front, but I think it's unlikely.
Yes, especially with, that mine there, the bunker there, everything there is going to really create a lot of havoc and a lot of splash damage quickly, so if he was to be aggressive, he does have map control with this though, and he can find really efficient engagements later on with all the bio move out with the tanks, and they just line up perfectly. You can create a lot of problems for the bio player.
That's a good point that you bring up. I mean, these Hellions with the map control really does, help itself out a lot. He's also, I think he's filling his barracks off as well, just to, start scouting out, and we'll be able to eventually spot maybe up towards the third base, land it there, and make sure that he knows exactly when the timing of that's going to come along.
Yeah, not a bad choice at all. We're also seeing that Armory finish up for Happy, so he's going to have the option of Hellbats as well. With this amount of units, it's kind of a scary thing, especially with Medivacs on the way as well. Hellbat drop's going to happen, whether they be into the mineral line or to the main army. Very, very scary thing. It really forces the bio to split up well and be on top of their bio because they can just disappear in a second.
But now Happy is slowly getting to his comfort zone, right? I mean, he will set up missile turret rings. He will set himself up just to make sure that nothing's really occurring. But this is a bit more aggressive than I was expecting here from Happy. Usually he sits back and is more than content to just build himself up a really strong force. But he drops a scan. He sees his opponent's army position.
Yeah, and it's all in the natural at this point as well, which is a scary thing. We do have 2 Vikings like just below the main base, but besides that, you know, that main base is just open for 4 Hellbats to drop in there and do a lot of damage.
It's almost like a TvP. I mean, as he spreads himself out towards 3 bases, maybe he goes in for the drop and tries to exploit his opponent for spreading himself a little bit too thinly, because this is still looking like a pretty aggressive position here for Happy.
Yeah, maybe he's actually looking to delay this 3rd base by a long time, and his small bio army kind of got out at this point. They're not getting away.
Oh, they're going to try and boost on away here with this medevac. Vikings are going to chase down, but he is on top of this position. This is going to be very, very difficult for Heromarine to really break free from. He needs to drop across those siege tanks right now. He's actually going to go for it already. Those Hellbats in the mix here. The siege tanks aren't going to siege up at all. It's up to the Hellbats at the front here to really bear the brunt of all of those damage from the Marauders. And, well, Marauders are pretty good against Hellbats alone. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they can take a lot of hits from the Hellbats. He did some pretty decent damage to it, but everything getting wiped out there. You really need something else with the Hellbats. You know, usually it's going to be tanks and a number more Vikings to help out, which is kind of the ideal composition.
And that's the problem for Happy's comp, right? When he was being so aggressive at the front lines there's not really a good way when you have just Hellbats alone to really get out of there unless you've got a lot of medevacs. So he was almost forced to take that fight. So he kind of caught himself in a catch-22 position.
Yeah, certainly so. And now Heromarine looking to return some aggression here. This looks like he's going to try and knock on the front door, but there's already 3 tanks set up there, so just probably a light contain for now. Delay the 3rd base like his was for a little while longer. No, he's actually committing to this.
Whoa, once again, a lot of Hellbats are actually loaded into these medevacs, and they will be able to push this away. I think he really underestimated how many tanks would be actually behind that vet line.
Very questionable move there. He was not expecting Hellbats inside those medevacs. So everything getting wiped out here. The entire army just about.
Jeez, so back and forth from really odd engagements. Not that you commonly see those 2 go down.
No, that last one was certainly a surprise. I guess he thought like, oh, he just doesn't have enough units at this point. Yeah, those medevacs are just there to heal. There's nothing in them, but they were full. All of them were full. So just demolished that army. And there were 3 sieged up tanks as well, which is such a surprise.
I mean, to a certain extent, from Heromarine's perspective, you could make the argument that going up against a mech force, you kind of want to trade off from time to time, but that one didn't seem like too
efficient.
Yeah.
It's kind of not even a flat trade. Like the mech player kind of got ahead.
Yes.
Maybe he was looking to reset the tank count, which is always a pretty important thing when dealing with mech in general. But not even that. No chance of getting there with that many Hellbats in the way.
Yeah, as Funker is pointing out here. And those are the numbers that really go against Heromarine's favor, especially with the 3rd base for each of them now being established. Happy, though, is a little bit supply booked once again. And this triple drop is on the way to try and find a position just before that sensor tower goes up. If this army here for Happy moved out of position for whatever reason, this could be a bit of a blunder, but it's not going to happen. He will be able to shove that away.
Yeah, no chance at all. Happy's just in a really good place right now, sitting on 3 base, getting his mech army up and running. He's really looking for, if he wants to move across the map with this huge army when the time comes, he could, and possibly steamroll what Heromarine has, but he just hasn't found any damage with this bio composition.
Well, a bit more of a lull now in the game speed, as Happy has set himself up a really nice defensive ring with the sensor tower, with the missile turrets to the right-hand side here, and second sensor tower. The bio player is usually looking to try and drop in, do some damage, but if he can't do that, where's his next to go to? Is it the transition in the starports?
It certainly is one of the transitions, and I do like that we are seeing it now because he's going to have to make that move sooner or later. Generally, the bio player will look to get quite an economic advantage at some point as well, while he has this very dominant map control because of how immobile this army is of the mech player. But he hasn't really found that. He hasn't got any extra bases yet, but he does have, still this big threat of bio on the map looking for a way in. But these sensor towers, like, it's always going to be known he's coming his way.
Happy plays it so patiently. He's set himself up, not only the missile turrets, not only the sensor towers, but also even where he plants his extra command centers, makes these really tough, impassable walls for a bio player. It's like, well, okay, if I'm going to attack in here, I'm going to be hitting your buildings half the time while siege tanks at the back are firing away at me. So he bunkers down. He makes himself very, very strong.
Yeah, it's a great place to be while he finishes up those command centers. Just making that army, you know, working towards max. We already see Heromarine maxed out, so he's certainly fishing for something. You're looking to find a way in so he can trade out the army and transition into the more Sky Terran that we see him making those starports for. I do like the Viking production as well. Like taking air control is going to help out so much. He's going to be stopping those Hellbats dropping on top of your bio, make things a lot easier.
Drops the scan.
Busted.
Oh, it's mutiny here, it's mutiny, but he's just freeing up that supply, which actually, him seeing that is a big indicator,
It certainly is. It really gives away a lot of what his plan is right now. He's like, okay, he's transitioning from here because he's not finding any way in. So it's a big tell. Big tell.
That's like when the dog, like you've got a dog and it does something naughty and you like turn around the corner and you see it just stares at you. It was great. So now he throws down the starports. He may have not done that had he not seen it.
Exactly.
At that point.
You know, he's like, okay, so this is what it's going to be. Still a very healthy Viking count for Happy though, and it's going to be very hard for Heromarine to find a way in, despite his army composition at the moment.
That was brilliant. All right, well, throwing scans down up towards the top, and likewise also scans for Heromarine here to sense out his opponent's army position here. As Heromarine is also building himself up quite a few command centers, and so we're getting to that point in TvT now because both teams, both players even I should say, have so many Vikings underway, have that transition over to Ravens coming along as well. It's going to be very difficult for one side here to take a proper engage without really committing.
It really feels like Heromarine wants to be the one to do it too. Like he keeps moving forward. He does have the middle of the map there, but he's going to be dealing with a lot of drops very soon. His whole army is out of position. Very luckily, there's a bunker here though. Might even take out a medivac before it drops.
Great move here by Happy though, because realistically, this isn't even that much of a commitment. Oh, just trading away some of these Hellbats.
Yeah.
This is a brilliant move to cripple some economy and then free up some supply.
Yeah, probably the bottom line here is freeing up those supplies, so he can actually transition to more air-heavy sort of unit composition, even making Thors to help out here.
Whoa. Happy's at 71 workers. I suspect he should be trading some of those off at some point. There's a small skirmish in the middle of the map, but it's very, very long range. And actually, he's killed off a lot of the Vikings now that I say that.
Yeah.
It's down to 4 Vikings against 13.
Yeah, huge sort of air dominance. Yeah, like, he was always making Vikings the entire game long, so he was always going to have that number advantage for most of the game here. So that tech switch really didn't work out for Heromarine, and now his army kind of got crippled.
And actually, he had +2 weapons on the Vikings over +1 whilst that was going on, because +3 is only now just started, so I suspect Heromarine didn't have +2 while that was happening.
Yeah.
So that would have given him an even bigger advantage from those Vikings, because he was always in that mech frame of mind to begin with.
Certainly so. Well, more Vikings have joined the army. Another stim forward, but he's stimming into tanks and a planetary here, so freeing up supply, no doubt. Still not the best trades at all. Still a supply lead, nevertheless, for Heromarine. Even sort of bank in general.
And even getting the extra upgrades across the board here now is Happy. Just to make sure that his air superiority is not going to dwindle. He didn't add any more Vikings, but 6 Ravens are the real deal breaker here at the moment.
Yeah, going into that Raven play now. It's the next step in this massive Sky War. Looking for those Seeker missiles, trying to zone out everything else. And eventually, hopefully, it'll get to those battle cruisers.
Yeah, they can come along. And they can be quite scary. Quite scary indeed.
Here we go again.
On to the left-hand side. In range of those. Could easily just drop some Seeker missiles, though.
Yeah, we're going to pull that Viking back.
Ooh,
Big hits, actually. He was flying on top of a tank that had a Seeker missile on it.
Yeah, all importantly, the point defense drones are actually soaking up a lot of damage from the Vikings as well.
Big stim forward on top of those planetaries as well. He wants to try and shut them down.
He's losing a lot of his bio for this. But likewise, some of the mech is dying off here on the side of Happy. as he may end up losing another command center here to all of this. Small skirmishes, Happy at the moment takes the supply advantage.
He kills the CC with those 2 Hellbats. I will eat my hair, Kalaris.
That's a lot of hair, man.
Well, that's how impressed I would be. Luckily, it's not going to happen there. Gets shut down, and yeah, that was a pretty effective trade for Happy that time. He like really threw away a lot of his army for a planetary. So very nicely done there. You know, just playing that defensive mech style still. You know, sitting on fort base, so comfy-like. And Heromarine, he's going to have to switch things up here. He's still investing in bio, but I feel like it's getting to a point where it's getting too redundant.
Yeah, it does feel that way. I mean, bio against even just heightened Raven numbers, it's like you just don't really want to take that fight ever. The Seeker missiles will shred that up unless you somehow... I don't think I've ever seen a great bio split against Seeker missiles. It just doesn't happen. It's not something that happens.
It's such a weird thing to even think about.
Yeah.
Stemmed bio is so fast as well.
Yeah. With the base of tanks that they're going to have underneath that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that does go on.
Well, yeah, despite all of that, Heromarine still remains like kind of in map control, hold on to the middle there, and Happy is in no hurry to move out. He's happy to sit there, make the Ravens, make the army. He's been approaching max for so long now, but it keeps engaging and trading out supplies.
Yep. With high-sec ultra tracking coming in as well, it's going to make his missile turrets as well as his planetary fortresses all nice and strong. So really just committing to the later stages of the game where, as we've said, Happy is way more comfortable, way more versed than almost anybody in the European scene, to be honest with you. He will do this for a long, long time if he wants to.
He's in no hurry here today. He wants everyone to sit back and enjoy a nice long mech game, and you know, I appreciate that. You know, we don't get to see these too often, actually. Not even in Korea these days. It's more of a rare thing that they go to the late game.
Yeah. Plenty more command centers, just bunkering down these locations. 16 Ravens now against 10. And this will eventually culminate in what is usually a grand expedition of Hunter Seeker missiles, or Seeker missiles just flying everywhere. But until we get to that point, there will be this stalemate moment where Heromarine is just jostling for position, maybe trying to find a little bit of bio poking here or there, but he wants to trade that off again.
He has so much bio in the middle, and there's no medivacs to heal them either. You know, he's actually, like, a lot of these have already been damaged, so it's something to worry about in the future as he just executes one to raise morale or frighten them into obeying.
Yeah, that was a scare tactic. As soon as Happy dropped the scan there, he's like, this is what we do to our guys. Imagine what we're going to do to you. I was like, oh no.
Oh, I better be careful here. I'm just going to wait in my base for even longer now. It's like, thanks a lot, Heromarine.
Did you know, like, at the there was I think it was an African tribe. I can't quite recall the tribe that it was, but there was a military tactic in the past that an African tribe used. Someone will correct me on that. Where the front line, when they went to war, the front line would stand there, and they were slaves basically, and they would all be told to, in front of their opposing team, to cut their heads off. And that would be the fear incited into the opposing army.
Wow.
And
just like this, as we see, that's a horrific thing to do, but I guess if it scares your opponent.
I mean, if you were facing down a opposing army, and the front line of their army just did that, I'd be a little bit worried, to be honest.
I'd be frightened and a little confused, but I'd be like, well, they're thinning their ranks for us at the same time.
The strategical mind kicks in. It's like, oh, well, thank you.
It's like, yeah, I like this, actually. And another thing is, you know, Imperial Guard and Dawn of War also do that. They shoot one of their things to make sure everyone obeys.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. If scare tactics, they don't usually work out there.
Psychological warfare. It's a powerful thing.
It's a scary thing as well, Kalaris. Let's not get too deep into this, brothers. And finally, we're seeing some action from Heromarine there, moving forwards. And it looks like he's looking for something. A lot of scans going down, but not many tanks. How are you going to get through this without tanks is what I want to know.
The fizzle, the disappointing sound of Hunter Seeker missiles or Seeker missiles. I love calling them Hunter Seekers. I know their name has been changed. I knew for years now in HOTS. But
every time I think about them, I think of Hunter Seeker missiles as well.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. All right, well.
Here we go again.
The ravens of slowness continue to fizzle.
They're going down. It's going to be a hard, long fight. They're going to be expending a lot of energy just to put each other out of position here. Oh.
Uh-oh, he's going to boost.
Oh, I love it.
Let's go! There's nobody there!
Oh, he almost found him. That was exciting. That's what I like to see. Is he going to try it again? I'm just going to be exchanging Seeker missiles.
The point is, why did he let that one detonate? That was quite big, actually.
Moving a little too forwards there.
Yeah.
Tanking it pays a price, but not nearly as much damage as those Vikings took.
The thing is that with how the speed of this game goes up right now, like with these mules dropping and being able to repair everything, I feel... Oh, he's going to, sacrifice that one. I think the medevac tactic is actually kind of legit here.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
The Vikings are going to have to be on point to shut it down. And if they're not, then they could just take a huge nuke to the ball of their army.
Yeah.
I like the mules. Repairing what they can, but that's a lot of damage done.
Well, they've created a metropolis on either side of the field now. As the sprawling Terran Dominion continues. And they're like, why are we even fighting?
I mean, yeah, it's like it's like high rises next door to each other, but they're planetaries. They have giant cannons on the top.
This is one of those moments when your next door neighbor's really loud, and you're like, come on, man, let's just have a proper truce. All these Seeker missiles, we don't need that. We can just be friends. I could listen to music at your place as well.
Clearly, there's something to fight for on this map. I'm not sure what. It's not the prettiest of maps either. They can find a better place.
That's the best resolution. You mine it all out, it's like, well, I guess we don't have to fight anymore.
It's like, well, we can just lift off and fly to the next base now. Imagine that was like a game-ending thing. It's like, all the minerals have been taken. There is no point in fighting anymore. Draw.
It's a draw. And then they fly off to terraform.
Yeah.
Continue
map 2 is terraform. Well, it's one way to play it out. I do like the fact that there's some Thors being added for Happy to kind of apply more damage to the army as they try and poke in.
The beach balls fall to the ground.
Mate, if they're beach balls, I don't want to play with them. They're a little too spiky for my liking.
Yeah,
they're made of metal, which is also quite painful, I believe, on your hands.
Slightly dangerous.
Not an enjoyable thing, but here we go again. Gotta be careful here. Ooh. A lot of scans going down. The dance of Seeker missiles.
Yep. Scans. Why do scans scan anti-clockwise?
That's a great question.
Has anybody ever asked that question in StarCraft before?
I didn't even think about that.
It's actually slightly annoying me now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Funker. I'm glad your scan observing is on point right now. Woo. In Australia, do they spin the other way?
What? That's actually a great question. I should have said yes, but I was like, you caught me off guard with that.
Sorry, man.
I was thinking I was thinking about that.
Yesterday, so.
Oh, here we go. A couple of tanks should be able to get hit. Oh, more damage. Just thinking about this, Calaris. This is a best of 3, mate. This is game 1.
Oh, I've been in plenty of these.
Yeah.
I commentate the European scene day in, day out, my friend.
I'm kind of happy we don't experience this too often in Korea.
Yeah.
Usually they'll end a lot sooner.
I'm in for the long haul. That's what I am. StarCraft till we die. We get a lot of these in Europe. We do, and when we do, it's quite the treat. It's quite the treat. We had Firecake versus Marine Lord twice in WCS Season 2.
What about Firecake versus Happy? I'm sure that would be
I think that happened once or twice.
Yeah, that would go the distance, especially in the days of Swarm hosts. Yeah, the glory days of Zerg.
Whoa! All right, the fusion core at 37 minutes.
All right, looking for that change. I appreciate that. I'm also going to take out a bunch of turrets with these auto turrets.
You appreciate that, like the connoisseur of TvT that you are.
I appreciate action.
I get it.
Yeah, and the death of buildings. And here we go again. Considering that whole army was out of position.
To be fair, Happy has actually moved quite aggressively compared to what he usually does.
Yeah.
And he's on top of his opponent's buildings now after this strategical dance about. As Seeker missiles, once again, just catch themselves a few units at the front. If you throw them down on Thors aren't nearly fast enough to
They
get
can
away
take
from
about
those.
5, I think. But look at this nice little spread of the Vikings should be all right here. I'm not sure about those Seeker missiles. Ooh, they actually kind of zoned out and did damage to his own Vikings.
Because he has so many Thors in the mix here, Happy's actually not doing too bad at all. Of course, he was a little bit gas-starved for a moment, but doesn't need to replenish too much at the moment as well, as he has encroached quite well onto Heromarine side of the map and is getting a really good trade here, to be honest.
Yeah, he's looking fantastic. Another Seeker missile going into the Ravens this time. A lot of damage happened, but no deaths.
It really shows kind of the critical analysis that Happy has, because he has been in these kinds of situations so many times. I mean, yeah, the Raven numbers are quite even, but if there's still Thors in the mix here for him, he can't go too close because they will do good splash damage to those air units.
I certainly think it also triggered the fact that Happy attacked because of how much energy was depleted into the main base of Happy's. He's like, well, you just spent a lot of energy on your Ravens. I can actually push forwards and probably deal with the remaining amount of Seeker missiles you have.
Completely makes sense, especially with these Thors still doing a lot of damage to this Crown Army, and they're just not dying off. Tanks over to the right-hand side, mules, the thief mules that they are, stealing some of the minerals, and now Happy.
Shameless. Oh, look at this there, the tank looking for the Seeker missile hit, gonna hit a bunch of Ravens.
Nice. Too bad. And now, look, he's 100 supply up, and Heromarine, he's trying to make a few units here and there, but it's not going to be enough. Look, he's making Marauders and Marines. That's not going to cut it here.
He's desperate. You know, the backbone of his army died, and GG.
Nice. Wow. Happy really understanding the late game TvT and saying, all right, if you really have that much still left in bio, and I have these Thors in my mainstay army, I can actually just bulldoze through. That was really well done.
Yeah, that damage really added up from those Thors. There was quite a number of them at the end there. So, you know, he chose that right time to move out. I like it. I like it, though it did take a while to get there.
Well done there by Happy, taking the first game in this best of 3. We're going to go to a short break, and when we are back, it's going to be game number 2 between Heromarine and Happy. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters. As we are still here in Group A, we already saw Mr. Sue advance on through record pace here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
That was, yeah, a quick couple of series.
Yeah.
He certainly played like the champ we thought he would.
Yeah, to be expected, I think.
Yeah.
And now we are into game number 2 between Heromarine and Happy. And Happy kind of showing why he is one of the more dominant players in the late stages of the game in TvT here in Europe.
Showing his mech as well. Like we all assumed he would go mech. He very rarely changes it up. He is a stubborn player, but you know, if he's allowed to get to that stage in the game, man, he looks great. He's very patient, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He knows exactly what he's doing when it gets to those kinds of stages. Heromarine, though, it was a kind of a bit of a grey area, I want to say, because having that much bio in your composition that late can put you in a world of danger.
Yeah, it certainly gets a lot more cost inefficient the later the game goes. The more those tanks have upgrades and the more tanks there are, you know, they're just going to have a very hard time finding any sort of damage.
All right. Well, Moonglade, it's time.
It is.
We have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner. It is our blue Terran representing Team Mousesports. It is Heromarine.
Much bigger map this time around, but more spread out. I'm liking this Calaris.
Yeah, sounds good. And up to the top right-hand corner, we have our red Terran. Currently 1 game up. It is Happy.
The mech player. Well, this time, it's going to be a lot harder to go from mech when you have bases spread out in the 3rd and 4th, especially on this kind of map. Much more exposed. The bio style, I feel, will be a lot more favored for a lot longer, a lot more relevant. There's a lot more drop potential as well, you know, everywhere. So, no doubt Heromarine looking at this map, looking at a lot of opportunities here.
Let's see if Heromarine is going to be able to maybe put on some pressure early on and try and kind of deal with Happy early, because the thing is in Terran versus Terran, you see a lot of gas openers, and that is what Heromarine is going to go for. So maybe putting on the aggression early, trying to shut down Happy. Maybe he goes for something that Heromarine used to love doing, which was sticking around on one base for a little bit longer with his initial gas, not only exerting some pressure with, you know, maybe some Hellions or downgoing to the Banshee play, but also even mixing in a siege tank or two and really trying to run home. It's a bit of a older style, I want to say, in TvT, but it's certainly something Heromarine had a lot of success with in the past.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he wants to play this one. Yeah, you know, a lot more freedom on this kind of map. It's not going to be anything like the last one. This Terran, Happy is going to have a lot harder time getting a 4-base mech up and running and getting to that max.
Yeah.
And even if he does, I mean, look at the middle of the map. It is so open. It's so easy to engage from multiple angles, or even just avoid the army in general, which is what a bio army most likely will do if it gets to that stage in the game.
Happy's a funny one though. He is. I mean, despite like this kind of map not really being like the super mech favored map, he really likes mech. So that's it's something that he really just doesn't care about sometimes. He'll oftentimes just go for it.
We have a player like that over in Korea named Sky High. This guy, he'll do mech no matter what. So like you see him on this map, you're like, really? You're going to try mech against Zerg on this map? And he tries it, and he fails, but he tries it just the same. I'm sure we're going to see the similar sort of approach here. Maybe not as hard to do it against in TvT, even if it's on a map like this. I mean, if you can get it off the ground, up and running, you know, solidify at least one of those 3rd or 4th bases, gets a little easier.
Reaper, I'm just going to dance on him very soon here, as he does want to get confirmation completely as to what's going on, but
Look
the
at this
well
read.
positioned.
Wow.
Jeez.
He had an idea.
There's so much room to jump in on. For him to be able to get that position, very well done. Oh,
It's showing a lot of experience.
ooh, zone out. Really good zoning out there.
Now the Hellions out going to try and chase him down.
That was beautiful. That was
Yeah.
really well done by Heromarine.
On point. I like it. Starport just about finish up as well. So, see what he wants to throw out.
Great reads by him, to the point where, of course, you know, Happy is probably expecting a Starport follow-up after what he saw with his SCV that came in to begin things off, but not having confirmation as to whether it's Banshees, whether it is the medevac drop here for Heromarine to really start powering forwards with these Marines and Hellions. That's something that he would ideally like to have good confirmation of.
Yeah, you know, he got an idea of some of the build order. I mean, he only saw one gas, which I guess gives away a lot. You know, it's obviously not going to be a Cloak Banshee at the very least. Most likely going to be a medevac and some sort of aggression via Marines and Hellions. And we're kind of seeing that now. Marines getting picked up into that medevac, and Hellions making their way across the map.
All right, so speed boosting across here.
Speed boost.
They are supercharged.
Oh, yeah. That nitro.
Yeah.
Do they use that in plane? No, they use jet fuel.
I don't know, man. I've always wondered why units that fire flames don't cost any gas.
That's actually a great point.
Yeah, it's weird.
Make that
right?
from minerals somehow.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, in this world, who knows what minerals can do? All right.
They're an amazing resource. They can make human lives in Marines.
That's true. That is true.
It's kind of weird.
All right. Gonna have to jostle for position here on towards the ramp, and actually takes away the high ground slight advantage that he would have had there. Of course, that medevac does provide that, but a good micro will actually get himself Hellions. So Hellions do win on out. If he positions the Hellions, brings them down to the side to try and get a good shot in against those Marines, and will eventually clean this up at the sacrifice of 2 SCVs, 3. Not too bad at all.
Yeah,
Good defense.
nice defense there, yeah. I was a little worried when he started to pull his SCVs, but not using nearly enough. And now, you know, his naturals finished up. He was flying it there. He knows there's no threat of any sort of follow-up for at least a little while.
This is cute. Slight delayed Banshee, but in the end, I mean, he's already getting missile turrets anyway, so Happy he's covering all his bases.
Yeah, Happy, safety first. Maybe he knows this kind of build order that Heromarine likes to do. You know, apply that aggression, go into a delayed Cloak Banshee. So everything's on lockdown, and you know what? Even if Happy didn't know this was the kind of style, I'm sure he would do it anyway because he likes to play that safe defensive game and go into mech into the late game.
Yeah.
So doesn't want to cut any corners.
I mean, all of his initial stages for Happy are really good to transition into it, right? I mean, he's making heightened amounts of Hellions. He's going to have a Raven there as well, which does actually provide not only great defensive utility, but good offensive utility if you find, you know, wiggle room for it.
That's right. Oh, look at this. He's going to try and make his way up, but he's taking massive damage.
Yeah, that was a little bit ambitious.
Ooh, yeah. You know, he knew he was in a line as well with his Hellions against other Hellions, so it's like, well, you know what, that's probably not going to work out. Tried it, didn't work out.
Oh well. Oh well, for now, he's just going to sit on back home, gets himself that factory, and we will have some mech.
Yummy.
I've got to stop singing out my commentary. That's
No,
a bit
I
weird.
actually like it. Well, this Banshee's going to get completely shut down. Viking Raven waiting. Ripping Pipperinos.
Sorry, buddy.
Well, he's trying to get away.
Oh, even drops the scan for the kill.
Well, I guess that's something, right? It's going to cost a scan, and now another one's on the way. It can add up.
Yeah, I mean, if you eliminate the threat, at least you're feeling more comfortable up that towards the top left. There will be that Banshee swinging down towards the bottom right, which can cause some hindrance in a moment. But it's quite the window for that before that really hits.
It's interesting that it is bottom right.
It's going very far.
Yeah, it went very far. Maybe he's checking that base. He's checking all the hidden bases.
Yeah, he is.
That'd be actually one way to, really get ahead with Mech on this map. Have a hidden third base instead of trying to defend a third base, which is so hard to do.
But at the same time, very unhappy-like.
Very unhappy-like. Yeah, that is very true. And these Hellions going to find a way in. A couple of Marauders going to be a bit of a trouble, but kill the Marines, go for the SCVs.
Oh, dear me. Pretty much going for the jugular. This is a bit scary. A bit scary. He is
SCVs coming on back in, lining on up.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down. The Marauders, deal with this first, then bring them back. Don't be too greedy about how much minerals you want there.
End of all that, 5 SCVs. They had to be pulled for a while as well, so that's a decent amount of damage, but there was a lot of Hellions.
It's okay. Third command center was up and running very soon here for Happy, so he can get things going. Likewise, armory going down, blue flame on the way, and we'll be clearing off those rocks out of the front. So a little bit more of a slower start to this mid game now.
Yeah, kind of everything's slowing down at this point. We are seeing more Hellions move across, try and take back the middle of the map here, and it's kind of not where the bio player wants to be at this point. They want to be able to be applying the pressure, taking map control, and looks like it will be now is the time, now that a lot of Marines and Marauders are together. Decent number as well, so they can go for fights.
Yeah, the bio player wants to be flexing his muscles. He wants to be hitting from left and right, maybe trying to get some jabs in. Find some guaranteed damage, find some trades at least.
If they were boxers, the bio player would certainly be the more agile, skinnier one, floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, and the mech player would be the muscle head, just waiting, taking the hits on the chin and going for that big one hit.
And looks to try and push in here. There are also those Hellbats though being dropped across this. As you say, the muscle-bound mech is going to be able to wrestle him away.
Wrestling now, that's actually illegal in boxing, Calaris.
Oh, I'm all about just kind of going and cheating. It's fine.
Oh. Well, then you'd be fine with Mech, I'm sure. Here we go again.
It's fine. Oh, gonna go for the more Hellbat drops. You actually focused one of those medevacs down. That was quite quick about it, but
it's just way too much damage happening to this bio army. And while this is all happening, a third base is going down for Happy and is up and running. He just has to saturate at this point, get those 6 gases pumping, and he's in a great place. This is looking horrible for Heromarine.
Very, very tough stuff at the moment for Heromarine. He obviously had a great day yesterday where he was able to eventually advance on through the open bracket, but at the moment he is on the ropes. Happy is, yeah, he's punching really well.
Suffering the Dempsey roll right now. Do you know that one? That's from
the Dempsey roll.
I learned that. I think it's actually a real move, but I learned it from an anime. The Dempsey roll. There you go. Hajime no Ippo.
I don't know it.
Check it out one day. It's it's pretty old at this point, but I learned all these weird sort of boxing techniques.
Fantastic. Do you ever get to employ them?
Not nearly as much as I'd like, man.
On the streets of Korea.
Streets of Korea.
Boxing's a common occurrence.
Back in Australia, we'd be doing it against kangaroos every other day.
Oh, yeah, they box really well, I heard.
They do. And they're ripped. Especially the alphas, they're huge.
Yeah.
Don't want to fight them, man.
No. Oh, that's a lot of SCV kills.
Yeah.
I'm glad Funker is paying close attention to how many SCVs are actually killed off so far, and how many Heromarine lacks at the moment compared to how Happy set.
Here we go again.
Uh-oh.
And they're all clumped up. Great place to do it in. Gonna go into the main from here.
Yeah. He keeps just hitting him. This is really, really difficult now for Heromarine. He needs to gain some traction some way, somehow, but the shoe should be on the other foot. Heromarine should be the one on the other side of the map with the bio style, but Happy hasn't let up from the very word go.
Well, you know what? The reason this is actually happening as well is because the army's on the other side of the map looking for a way in. And he's found the barracks at the start, but he's going to have to deal with these sieged up tanks.
Barracks enough.
It's kind of a light sort of buffering for them, but there's not really much of a bio army to jump on top of them efficiently.
Now, the economy's looking scary now, and the missile turret ring is set up, and he cannot do that. He cannot try and go in for those suicide moves. You would love to be able to get a Doom drop-off against a mech player here in one of the mains in towards the third, but Happy's not going to give you that so easily.
No, and the longer it goes on, the harder it is going to be to find a way in. More and more turrets being set up, more and more tanks are being made, and the more tanks there are, the less effective the bio is in general.
Now this army just moving through the middle. Heromarine also trying to transition on. It's an ambitious move here, considering an economical state. As Happy is well set up and will rapidly approach Max.
Big stim.
He's actually going to go in for this. I think he feels that it's really one of his only opportunities to really do something, and he's going to get crushed into the ground here against this.
GG. Wow. He kind of just gave that away at the end. Hey, I guess he felt so pressured that he took too much damage. He knew the Mech army was up and running to a point where it's like, well, I can stay in the game and go for the long haul, or I can try something now. And he's running out of options. Doesn't want to go to the late game like he did in game 1.
Yeah, that was a tough spot there for Heromarine. After losing so much of his economy, after being kind of forced into that position by a well played out game there by Happy. Definitely no denying that. Almost playing a little bit against, I wouldn't say fully against his image, because Happy can exploit some of these more aggressive paths, but he really never let up on Heromarine there. Yeah,
that was just pure aggression. You know, he deflected everything at the start there, and from there, just constant attacking and pressuring while he set up his third base, while he made the tanks he needed to just defend everything. Really, really nice play from Happy.
Yeah, very, very well done by him, and he will keep himself alive here in Group A. So good stuff from Happy to make sure that he's going to stay and try and push on. He'll be going up against MMA next. And we are ready to hear from Mr. Happy, who's over there at the analysis desk.
Thank you very much, Kalaris, and congratulations, Happy. I know it's not over yet, but it's a good start in the right direction now. Before we talk about this, for a lot of people watching this stream, they didn't see your games earlier against MMA. Can you just talk a little bit about how that series went down?
Well, I will try to make it as short as possible. Those 2 games I lost against Tank and Vikings Push, and I never had enough air superiority, so MMA just sieged me up and I couldn't do anything. Second game, I'm actually not sure. I think he forgot armory. We played Mech on Mech, and he didn't make hellbats when he should have had.
Okay.
But either way, on second game, I think I had economy advantage, but actually not sure, because I still think he just forgot his armory.
And then the third game, when it went to that, what was it? Close series?
First and the third game were pretty much the same with the tank, but the point is, in the first game I didn't really expect that. So instead of making Vikings after Raven, I made 1 Banshee. So it was like over from the beginning, because I didn't expect that. And the last game, when he attacked me with his Raven and 4 Vikings, I only had 4 Vikings, but 2 more were coming in like 5 seconds. So I just lost my air advantage and game was over.
Okay, talking about Heromarine then, you've played against pretty much every single European ladder, day in, day out. You played obviously a lot against Heromarine. Were you feeling confident coming into this, or was it kind of a little bit questionable for you?
Well, I always feel confident because I believe that I prepared, but usually my results aren't really great. I didn't expect the series to go this way. Actually, I was not sure what I was gonna play. Like I was sure that I was gonna play Mech, but wasn't sure if I'm gonna play aggressive or not. Like it was a question if I will go for just pure mass Helion, or instead I will go for Hellbat and Medivacs.
I actually had a question there I wanted to ask you. To do with the Hellions, they seem to be such a fundamental part of your mech style. And, the Hellbat drops especially. You got really aggressive in that game 1. And there was a point where you kind of went in, you tried to drop on top of his army, and he got a really good fight. He defended it very well. Did you feel like the game was a little bit out of your grasp at that point? How did you kind of regain your strength in game 1?
Well, actually, when I attacked his in the first game, when I attacked his third base, before he moved his entire army, I felt like he was surprised, because actually I thought for a second I could have killed his command center if I didn't send my Vikings back, like drop a mule and then kill it with Vikings. But anyway, after that he tried to bust me out from my natural base, and he lost a lot. So after that I just thought like the game was even again. So then I just thought like it will be not a good idea to play standard after not the best opening that I had. So I just decided to play very turtle style.
It was very well played, and I did want to ask you about that style as well, because you seemed very experienced at it. There was actually Bunny saying on Twitter, he says, Happy never loses from this position. He is so good at this. Do you feel like you just have so much more experience that if you keep playing that slow game, you're usually favored?
No, not really. Just I think I have one of the best micromanagement in the world. Nobody can deny that. So it's always easier for me to play late game on like maxed out armies because I can micro better. Also, I just like Mass Raven style. That's probably why.
All right, well, let's change our focus towards MMA then. So you've got a rematch here, and a lot of times in WCS and other tournaments is you can play someone first, lose, not you specifically, but anybody can play someone, lose, and then come back for the rematch. And usually you have a better chance at winning. Do you feel that can help you, having played him, understand how MMA is doing today? It can help you beat him?
Hard to say, actually. I don't think that MMA in his best shape, but either way, I think I lost first and third game against him because in the first game, I didn't really expect this strategy, but in the third game, I actually scouted but missed timings a little bit, just by a couple of seconds. I'm not sure, maybe I'll try the same, maybe, we'll see. I'm actually just not sure what he's gonna play. If he's gonna play Mech, I will feel more confident.
Okay. One final question then. What have you been up to recently then? Is it purely StarCraft every single day, training, because you've obviously taken a lot of losses, unfortunately, in WCS, but have you stayed kind of motivated and determined to bounce back? And obviously you've qualified to play in this tournament.
Well, actually, things aren't going too well for me. Before my WCS match against Mana, I told myself that I have to practice really a lot. I think I played about 30 games every day, at least for a month. But I told myself that I won't get good or at least acceptable results by my own judgment. I will at least make a break until Legacy of the Void. And considering that I lost my match, and even though when I practice it, regardless if I win or lose, I always know if I win that my opponent makes such badly mistakes when I lose. Either I don't understand why it happens, or I think it's luck or stuff like that. So basically, after this tournament, I think I won't be taking part in any LAN tournaments at all up until Legacy of the Void releases. And unless I have some sort of refreshment for myself in Legacy of the Void, I will stop playing, because I've been playing for a while anyway.
All right, well, fighting, it's not over yet. You're still in this tournament. Hopefully you can take down MMA. So best of luck for that game coming up. And that means, of course, we'll be going into that match pretty much immediately. It's going to be Happy going up against MMA as he prepares to get set up. If you're just tuning in now, like I've been saying all day and yesterday, make sure to check out plays.tv. This is where all the action is currently located if you've missed any of it so far. When we return, which player is going to the quarterfinals? Is it Happy or is it MMA?